there's something we call type rating. So type, of course, for the type of aircraft, and rating to rate you on that aircraft. So, for example, I have two type ratings. Yes. So for me to fly, for example, your Boeing or your Airbuses, I have to go for a course, a type rating course, which most likely takes about what, 1 month.
1 month.
About that.
Wow.
For most type ratings.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, any pilot can fly any aircraft and can switch if you want to.
Okay, switch.
Yes.
Even the helicopter.
You can.
That's good. Wonderful. Now, what are the hazards attached to the job?
Okay, so I like that. It's a very broad topic. Safety hazard.
Yes.
I mean, I was once a safety manager, a quality and safety manager.
Wow.
Yes, I started my career actually as a quality and safety manager.
Okay.
So there are too many work hazards attached to aviation. There's for ground, in fact, we can take it from the fueling guys, we can take it from the dispatchers, we can take it from the baggage guys, we can take it from the towing guys, so it's from below all work all the way up to the pilots, because I know you're kind of narrowing it down to
exactly.
what the pilot, but I'm just taking us just to have more, understanding that there's a big safety hazard in aviation, and it's one of the most dangerous environments, of course, to work. Apart from the oil and gas, aviation is one of the most dangerous environments to work in. For the pilots, you have ergonomics, which, of course, your sitting position, and we have fatigue, which is, I think, the worst. So, unfortunately, I mean, you've probably come across some news about pilots sleeping. It's true. I mean, some pilots overwork. So that's why the regulatory side now comes in place. But I don't want us to go too deep to, of course, save some time, because we will not stop talking here. Because that's why aviation has a strict regulatory attached to it, which is, of course, the responsibility of the NCAA, in terms of flight duty time, so that, they control how long a pilot can actually fly for a day and within a week, so that fatigue, they call fatigue risk management, is actually a big course in aviation, is a big topic. So every company has a fatigue risk management, a whole department actually. Yes, some companies have a whole department that is really monitoring that. You can't overwork the pilot, because that's one of the biggest safety, even down to the cabin crew, because anything can happen in the event of an emergency. The startle effect comes in place. You're fatigued, you can't think clearly. So yes, there's a big safety side, hazard side
I'll
of
coin a
things.
question from what you just said now. As a pilot, how many hours are you supposed to use? Probably in a week or in a month when flying a plane.
Okay, so in a week, we are not supposed to exceed, I think it's six days of flying.
Okay.
Yes, 6 days, and I think we shouldn't exceed, in a day, you shouldn't exceed 8 hours of flying time, which takes us to about weekly flying about 48 hours. And if you really draw that down, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, because in a month you mustn't fly more than 100 hours.
100 hours.
So the responsibility of your operation is to use that time that's within that regulatory time, to see how the pilot will not exceed that 100 hours in a month. If you like flying, do it 25 hours a week, but now you know how you're going to manage that time. So you're not supposed to fly 7 days a week anyway. Maximum should be 6 days a week, and maximum should be 100 hours in a month.
Okay, like you just said, safety comes first, right? But if there's an emergency, what are the procedures taken to safeguard lives and properties?
Okay, so that question is very holistic. It should be broken down, or should be, I think, narrowed down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you say what are the procedures, I have my procedure, the ground guy has his procedure, the cabin attendants have their procedure. So we all walk around with procedures,
Okay.
in terms of emergency. And for the pilot side, which I think that's what you're asking me, we are trained. That's why we go for. So for commercial pilots, who fly the airline, you are expected to go for what we call a recurrent training every 6 months to prepare you for, you know, any emergency. So there are different types of emergency attached to every type of aircraft. To answer your to make to bring out more light into that question. So there are too many emergencies. For example, I think we have about, if I'm not too wrong, minimum 20. Well, probably way more than that. But I mean, just assume we have about 20 or more emergencies that could happen or anticipate to happen. And there's so many that are not even a book, that you have to use your knowledge. So their procedures is something called, there's something we call a quick reference handbook, which is called a QRH, a checklist. So I don't know if you watch Nat Geo,
Yeah,
accident
I do. Yes,
investigation. Okay.
I
So if
do.
you do, so if you notice when there's an emergency, or well, the one that is not so bad, that those the pilots don't start to and start. So the ideal procedure is to first of all identify again. Like I said, there's always an acronym attached to how you. So there's something we call TDODA that we use, that to attend to every procedure, which is, I think the first thing, most importantly, is to check to where you are, identify the problem, look at the options, that you have, make a decision, assign and review. So those are the in step-to-step acronym TDODA. And one of them is also, the use of the QRH that I mentioned, which is, for you to understand the checklist and assign duties. Now that procedure now takes us back to the PIC and SIC. So it depends on the company procedure. We will still head back there. So it depends on, at the moment, most what they advise or what they train is whoever is flying at the moment to keep flying, because you are the one that was flying when whatever happened. So keep flying, or if you're not comfortable, hand it over to somebody who might be comfortable, and start step by step to manage the problem, which is probably hand over the checklist, you know identify the problem, call out the right checklist. Very important. Let's take, for example, you have a low engine oil. We have engine oil in planes. It's low. Doesn't mean the plane is falling out of the sky, right? So you have to identify, and there's something we call in some aircraft, it's called different names. There's an indicator that will tell you, okay, this is what is the problem. Your oil is low, oil level is low. Okay, fine, my oil level is below this thing. Okay, please check. What should we do? So you go, you tell the other person, what should we do? And the guy goes into the checklist and you know now tells you, okay, this is what to do. So you both cross check it, and then you try to resolve and make a decision. So that's the procedure.
So, how many countries have you flown to, and which of them actually struck you as the best in terms of hospitality and their culture?
Okay, that's very interesting, because that's the area. When you say I want to be a pilot, most people will be like, the next thing you think about is destinations. I'm going to travel around the world. Well, not every pilot gets the opportunity to travel around the world. For me, I'm privileged. I work with the business in the business side of aviation, which has taken me to so many countries. In fact, I think an immigration recently in another country asked me that, man, the guy was flipping my passport and like, oh, you're so traveled. I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been. Sometimes I was telling a friend, I said, I woke up one day recently in the country, and I thought I was in another country. That's how bad it is. Because I was like, no, literally, I'm not even joking. One of my colleagues said she used to work for Emirates, and she always had that same effect of waking up and you're thinking, I'm in Lagos. I woke up, I thought I was in Lagos at some point. I'm like, okay, I know the Lagos, yeah. When I looked outside, I said, okay, I'm in this country. So yes, so I can't in my head really calculate how many, but I'll put it at an average 15 countries.
15
Yes,
countries.
yes, with a
Wow.
lot of African countries and other part of the world. So I know we always, for me, let me even choose number one. South Africa is
Why
my
South Africa?
favorite destination. So many reasons, you know. Uh, I won't go into every reason, but
I think he knows what I was
I
actually
won't go
going
into
to.
every
I'll
no no
still
I won't
ask
go
you
into
that
every
question.
reason, but
I'll still ask you that
no, to be
question.
honest,
Okay.
to be honest, Cape Town is my favorite destination till date. And why is Cape Town is has one of the most beautiful landscape in the world.
Whoa.
Any traveler will tell you that. Forget about the other side attractions and the of course the Table Mountain, the shark diving or whatever. The outdoor ambience beauty in Cape Town is mind blowing. I've been to Cape Town on the average 7 times. Yes. And I'll tell you that every time I stepped into Cape Town, it was like you were never there. And everybody has that effect. You can ask anybody who is well traveled. Cape Town is most people's favorite destination. And some people say it's like Brazil. What's that place in Brazil? They have a similar feeling to it. But I mean, I have not been to Brazil though. But I mean, for me, Cape Town and the culture, South Africans have very good wine culture. They have good food in terms of if you like steak, steak and veggies, that's what they are. But they are steak. If you, I don't know if you like steak. South African steak is one of the best in the world, and of course, South African wine is one of the best. They have wine tasting, a lot of wine tasting farms you can visit, and of course, the food is another side attraction. Yes. So another place I would say, I really love to visit is Morocco. You Casablanca also has a Miami vibe. There's a place in Casablanca we go to. It has a Miami vibe. It's almost like you're in Miami. Or I think California rather, not even Miami. California. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I mean it takes us back to Nigeria, which is my favorite place. No doubt. No, you see, I always tell my friends and my parents, they were like, "Why is it that you always say you want to come back home?" Funny enough, Nigeria for me is my favorite place. I mean, that's where I'm very much comfortable. And it's painful because I have been around Nigeria. In fact, I don't think there's any destination I've not been to. Calabar, Uyo, called in called the states, except states when that there's no aircraft and there's no airports. I've flown everywhere in Nigeria, and I've at least spent a night in most places. So I'll tell you that Nigeria has the that potential to beat any country. I mean, there was a day we were flying to Gombe. I think it was Gombe to the north, and I was looking and I was telling then my captain, I was like, "Do you know that this gives me a Dubai vibe? Even Sokoto. If you look at the landscape, and if we have visionary leaders, we can turn Sokoto or Gombe into overnight Dubai or Qatar. That potential is still there till today. Yes, and talk about Cape Town. If you go to Bauchi, you know about Bauchi Resort, where a lot of people have also been to. Talk about Calabar. Calabar is also a very good destination. And if you look, there's some even if you look at some beach, I don't know the name now, but there was a beach I was flying over around that area. It was blue. Yeah, so the potentials are out there, and it's a pity that even within South Africa, you don't need to leave South Africa as a citizen. You can holiday within South Africa and feel fulfilled. I mean, you could step into Durban and have the amazing time, because why they have a lot of programs that protect their waterfront. There's no pollution. People are not just dumping things into the ocean. You know, it's just like in Lagos here. Um, we have what's that place called that they were saying they wanted to spoil it now because of the Lagos Calabar Drive. Uh,
Landmark.
Landmark, thank you. Landmark is an amazing. I mean, it's a step forward to what I'm trying to talk about, which it's a bit. We have to strike a balance talking about Landmark and the government road, Coastal Drive, because Coastal Drive is important as well economically, because there's no country that I've been to that is actually developed that don't have Coastal Drive is beautiful. Yes, anytime I drive on the coast, there's that feel. You're driving and the ocean is there. Trust me, it's an amazing view. So I support the government on that, but at the same time, we have to also protect our tourism side, which I think. So you said two places. I mentioned Morocco, South Africa. Well, of course, for me, Europe. is the same thing. It's Europe. If you love history, if you love history, antique things that are old, go to Europe. You can admire like the Roman history. You can admire King something in England. Those iconic history moments, and
Yeah.
you can go to Europe and feel that. And but if you're looking for nature, beauty, outdoor nature, come to Africa. I mean, I've been to Kenya, I've been to Mauritius, no, sorry, Seychelles, and all these places in Africa. The best places I've been to is in Africa, and I'm not being biased. Most people, what do they do when they are tired abroad? They fly down here, of course, for tourism. So for me, Africa is the way to go. So we need to do more, especially in Nigeria. We need to do more.
Thank you very much for that view.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to children that actually want to become a pilot and also want to delve into the tourist and aviation sector?
Okay, so that's an area that I'm very passionate about, and I would like to also shed light into more about aviation career as a whole, because not so many people have the knowledge or are exposed to understand that we have certain amounts of careers in aviation. And for me, I've been privileged to associate myself with people who are trying to inspire kids, and trying to go out there to create an awareness about aviation career. So, being a pilot, of course, if you what's I don't know if of course, what I'm about to say. That if you want to do anything, associate yourself with people that are doing the same thing. So for me, like I said, even your station has something indirectly to me becoming who I am today.
Wow.
So yes, very much, but that's a story for another day. So for me, I'll use myself as an example. I've always associated myself with being a pilot. Thinking about how I grew up in an environment of aviation. I lived at the aviation quarters. Every second of the day, there's a plane. So that dream never stopped. Every time you look up, there's a plane taking off. I'm going to be a pilot. This one, no. So the advice I would say is try to research. Now there's technology. You can go into a lot of kids would probably not do that. There's Instagram to distract us today, so many things to distract us. But so my advice is, look for pilots, or when you see pilots, try to talk. Pilots are friendly people, actually. Of course, we have people that are naturally snobby. For me, I've met kids that, uncle, you're a pilot, sometimes you can even give them a view of the cockpit. Like when you land in some airports, some children come for, what do they call that, excursion. Some people don't want them to come close to the plane. For me, I like, okay, as long as you don't damage anything, you supervise, you show them around the aircraft, you inspire them. So, associate yourself with people who are doing it, try to educate yourself about it. And like I said, pilot is not the only career. We have cabin attendants, which is also, if you want to go down that lane, it could take you around the world. Imagine being a cabin crew for Etihad, Emirates, or any of the world best airlines. You travel around it will take you around the world. It's also an achievement if that's what you want to, because success is relative, right? You don't have to be a pilot to become successful. So you can also take on other careers in aviation. We have what we call flight dispatch, which the flight dispatch has as much knowledge as the pilot, actually. It's an interesting career to take on as well, because every pilot is a dispatcher. In fact, you're first a dispatcher, because you need to understand the fundamentals of how that plane will go from point A to B, what the fuel the plane is going to use. You need to understand the limitations of that aircraft, limitations of the airport you're going to. You need to understand the weather. So in fact, the courses we take as pilots, the flight dispatchers take the same course. It's amazing. So that career is also there. People might not know about it. And of course, we have people who are on the ground. We have the guys that work on the ramp. There's something we call the ramp, of course, where the planes are parked. There are many people associated to make that flight take off. Like in my company, I always tell everybody, I said, do you know that down from even your driver till the plane takes off and land, we are all associated to make that one flight successful. So nobody is actually irrelevant in the aviation industry. So to shed more light on the aviation career, I was talking about the flight dispatch. Then I spoke about the failing guy. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, everybody is relevant and very, very key to moving a plane from point A to B to making that flight happen. So we have, even it's a career if you want to be, they call them Bowsers, the fuel trucks that come to fuel the aircraft, and even that is a very critical part of aviation because if contaminated fuel is being given to an aircraft, the engine can quit, which has happened. It's not something. So there are also procedures. In our company, for example, we have a procedure that we every flight we must confirm that there's the test, the water test of the fuel we're going to receive is done, is performed, and of course check for any impurities in the fuel as well. So that is also very important. If you have engineers, it's also good because some engineers can also help you feel, and they should do the right thing. So there's a career, there's the engineering side, there's flight engineers. I almost forgot that, which is also I see. I was a bit interested at some point because if as a pilot you have interest in flight in engineering, in aircraft engineering, it helps you because it also helps your knowledge about the aircraft because we as pilots are only taught, I would say, should I put it at 50 to 60% of how the aircraft is operated. We are taught of what to do in situations that this is not going right, and of course to have basic knowledge of some electrical, hydraulics, pneumatics, pressurization, things like that. So, but the engineers are, of course, they go deep into the core of the aircraft, like engine, maintenance and things like that. So there's career. Aircraft engineering is a career that people can take on. It's very, very, very interesting. I mean, and I've mentioned flight dispatch, I've mentioned cabin crew, you know, and also what else? We have even the guy who tows the plane. And of course, there's the guy who directs the plane. It's called marshalling. We have a marshaller as well. And marshalling can be very critical. I didn't know that until I, became a captain. Because, you see there as an SIC guy, you're not really bothered about what the marshaller is doing. But the moment you are responsible for turning that, directing the aircraft, then you know that there is so much relevance to that guy telling you what to do. Because yes, I mean you're trained to know how far you turn the wing of the aircraft to avoid, but then that guy too is very important. Like I said, everybody is important. So there are too many careers to take on in aviation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. On a lighter note, I heard pilots are millionaires. Yes or no?
Dollars, naira.
Oh boy, it's a yes or a no question.
In naira, yes.
Dollars.
No.
Oh, we are getting there. Why Cape Town? I'm sensing probably you can get what I'm
Like I said, I mean, we are all different, right? We
Yeah,
have what we like.
yeah.
For me, I love nature. Nature could be directed into different areas. It could be nature of God, human being, nature, nature of environments. It could be nature of animals. And again, I love animals as well. So, I mean, South Africa has all the packages, I'll say. They've got the safari. I mean, they have yes, I love animals, like, but I keep away from the sharks though. I mean,
Definitely.
but there's a beach, Boulders Beach, if I remember. You have the penguins. So I've gone to do penguin watch, which was exciting. Penguins are things we see on TV, but seeing them live actually was so interesting to me. It was intriguing. I think I went to Boulders Beach like 3 times. No, I have to go back there. So yes, so there's more and more things in Cape Town. You have where um the Indian Ocean meets the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
There's also that point in Cape Town. That's the end of Africa. Literally, the end of Africa is in Cape Town.
There's this aspect of pilots that people look at like they are very serious and all that, but I believe they have two sides. Am I right?
Yes.
Good. Now, as a pilot, how do you unwind?
So that takes us back to personality. I mean, I've flown with different pilots, and I'll tell you that pilots, it's should I call it a stigma or an assumption that majority of people associate fun, social or extrovert. Pilots believe pilots are extrovert. No, the answer is yes and no. I mean, we have pilots are human beings as well. So we have the pilots who are extroverts and we have the ones that are introverts. So for me personally, I'm an extroverted person and I love to unwind. So I associate myself, of course, like they say, what's that saying about same birds flock together? I mean, but for me though, sometimes I work well with boring people as well because sometimes I want to be in my own shell. But of course, I would rather be out unwinding when I have the time because I'm quite busy. But yes, we have fun and we have good fun when we want to have fun. I mean, of course, we drink, we have fun. Any country we are in, I mean, if we have the time, I mean, it could also just be fun of maybe going to the beach, swimming in the beach. I love swimming in the beach. It could be that as well, or listening to the music in that country. And enjoying the culture. Like even places like I'm talking about Nigeria, even Nigeria within Nigeria. You go to Calabar, you want to enjoy. What's that? I love oha soup. Or you don't want to eat. Down to even the food. Nigeria in the world, I think we have the most amount of dishes, varieties of food. I would say, in my opinion, because I mean, I don't know about Asia though, but Nigeria has our culture. We have too many food. We have too many food to explore. So when I'm in any state, I don't go for my normal rice or I say, what is the native soup? Let me enjoy it. So those are part of it, and how we
Okay, one
unwind.
more question. Um, you're not married, right?
No.
So now that you have traveled around the whole world, where would you think you'll pick your wife?
That's a trick
That's
question.
a very good
I mean, I've been around and women. I always talk. Of course, I mean, I would say this: women are women anywhere,
anyway.
anywhere. I mean, I don't
Literally
know.
speaking.
Yes, literally speaking, whichever one you want to go and meet. If you like, go to America. Women demand the same thing. So of course, I used to think I would marry a white person. There was a time in my life I lived in England and I thought it was white. But I mean, now, of course, Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Yes.
All right, thank God. He's not going to be like the musicians, that went to Ghana and all that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yes.
I would love to have to. I would love to meet you again.
Yes, if it was nice,
And
man. Was
wine
it?
and somewhere
Was
in Cape Town.
uh-huh.
Thank you
Let's
very
do
much.
Cape Town. Thank you. Thank you
God
very
bless
much,
you.
Ife. Yeah.
Wow, it was a wonderful and educative time with our special guest today on Aviation Insight. Please do not forget to follow us on our YouTube channel, AT&T 360 TV. Till we meet again, I am Ricky Fonofe signing out. Please do have a pleasant time.